You could have just told me you liked me. Ryan Mitchell said it so casually that for one impossible second, I wondered whether I had somehow entered the wrong hallway, the wrong university, or possibly the wrong life. He stood beneath the bright lights outside Westbridge University's aquatic center, blonde hair still damp from swim practice, navy team jacket unzipped over a white shirt, holding a cream-colored envelope between his fingers. My stomach dropped. What? Ryan glanced at the tiny red heart beside his name, then back at me. The letter, Ethan. 3 hours earlier. That letter had been sitting between Lara Bennett and me on a scratch table inside the student union while I ate fries and questioned my best friend's judgment. Absolutely not, I had told her. Lara frowned. I have not even asked you yet. You slid a love letter across the table like we are in a romantic comedy. I know where this is going. She pushed the envelope closer. Please give it to Ryan after practice. Everyone at Westbridge knew Ryan Mitchell. Junior. Scholarship student. Swim team captain. Excellent grades. Friendly smile. The kind of guy professors trusted, parents admired, and students somehow noticed even in a crowded room. I knew him only because we had shared 2 classes and once spent 10 minutes arguing about pineapple pizza. According to Lara, that qualified me as a trusted messenger. Why can you not give it to him? I asked. Because I will panic. And I will not. You are not in love with him. At the time, that had seemed like an excellent point. So at 6:15 that evening, I waited outside the aquatic center while swimmers filtered through the double doors. Ryan emerged with 2 teammates, laughing about something until he noticed me. His expression shifted to surprise. Parker. He walked over. Are you waiting for me? Unfortunately. He laughed. Good to see you too. I held out the envelope before my courage disappeared. This is for you. Ryan looked at his name, then at the heart. His eyebrows lifted. For me. That is usually what the name on the envelope means. He accepted it, and I immediately turned away. Mission accomplished. Friendship preserved. Emotional responsibility successfully transferred. I had made it about 30 feet down the hallway when Ryan called after me. Ethan, wait. I turned. He had opened the envelope. That was how I ended up standing there while the most popular guy I knew looked at me with an expression that was unexpectedly nervous. You could have just told me you liked me, he repeated. Every thought in my head collided. Ryan, there has been a misunderstanding. His smile weakened. You do not. That is not what I said. Why had I said that? His eyebrows rose. I mean, the letter is not exactly what you think. Then what is it? Over his shoulder, I suddenly spotted Lara at the far end of the hallway. She had apparently come to witness her romantic destiny from a safe distance. I pointed desperately toward Ryan and mouthed, "Help me." Lara saw the open envelope, turned bright red, shook her head, and disappeared around the corner. Traitor. I faced Ryan again. 3 words could solve everything. Lara wrote it. Simple. Honest. Finished. I opened my mouth, but Ryan looked down at the letter and gave me a small, almost shy smile. For what it is worth, he said, I am glad you gave it to me. And suddenly the easiest 3 words in the English language became the hardest ones I had ever tried to say. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Ryan was still holding Lara's letter, and I was still searching for a graceful way out of a situation that had absolutely no graceful exit. Ethan, he asked. Right? The misunderstanding. I rubbed the back of my neck. There is something important about that letter that you need to know. Ryan glanced down at the page. It seemed pretty clear. That is exactly the problem. You wrote that you have noticed me for months. My stomach tightened. Apparently Lara had not believed in subtlety. Yes, about that. And that you like the way I treat people when nobody important is watching. I stared at him. You memorized it already? A faint smile appeared. I read quickly. Wonderful. That makes this significantly worse. Ryan laughed, but then his expression became more serious. Look, you do not have to be embarrassed. I am experiencing several emotions right now. Embarrassment is definitely one of them. He folded the letter carefully. Then maybe I should make this easier. That sounded dangerous. How? Ryan looked toward the glass doors leading outside, where evening had settled over campus. When he faced me again, the confidence everyone associated with him seemed quieter. I have never really talked about this with anyone, he said. But I have wondered what dating a guy would be like. Every sarcastic response disappeared from my head. Oh, that was an impressive answer. I was not prepared. Neither was I. He smiled briefly. People make assumptions about me. I usually let them because explaining myself to everyone sounds exhausting. But I have thought about it before. I just never had a reason to actually explore it. The guilt in my chest became heavier. Ryan, you really need to let me explain. I will. He paused. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Coffee. I blinked. Coffee. There is a bookstore cafe on Maple Street, about half a mile from campus. 7 o'clock. I stared at him. Are you asking me on a date? I am asking you to have coffee with me. That is how dates trick people into attending them. Ryan laughed. Fine. One date. This was not how the evening was supposed to go. I was supposed to deliver Lara's feelings and return to my completely uncomplicated life. Instead, Ryan Mitchell was standing in front of me looking genuinely nervous about whether I would say yes. I cannot, I said automatically. His smile disappeared. Because you do not want to? The disappointment in his voice caught me off guard. No, because this situation is completely ridiculous. Ryan studied me. That is not the same answer. He was right, which was extremely inconvenient. I looked past him toward the hallway where Lara had vanished. She was gone. I could still fix everything. I should fix everything. Instead, I heard myself say, 1 coffee. Ryan's expression brightened. 1 coffee. But I am explaining the letter. Deal. He slipped the folded page back into its envelope. 7 o'clock, Parker. I know how clocks work. Good. I was worried. He walked toward the exit, smiling to himself. The second he disappeared through the doors, Lara emerged from around the corner. What happened? She whispered. I turned toward her. Congratulations. For what? Your love letter just got me a date with Ryan Mitchell. Her mouth fell open. You did not tell him? I tried. Ethan, you only needed 3 words. I know. I looked toward the doors Ryan had just walked through. Tomorrow I will tell him everything. At that moment, I believed it. At 7 o'clock the next evening, I walked into the bookstore cafe on Maple Street with a carefully rehearsed plan. Sit down. Say hello. Explain that Lara wrote the letter. Apologize for the confusion. Leave before my life became any stranger. 5 minutes. That was all I needed. Ryan was already sitting near the front window, wearing jeans and a gray sweatshirt instead of his usual Navy team jacket. Without teammates, professors, or half the campus orbiting around him, he looked surprisingly ordinary. Then he smiled when he saw me, and ordinary became a difficult word to defend. You came, he said. You sound surprised. You warned me that you knew how clocks worked. I wanted proof. I sat across from him. Before we start, there is something about the letter. Coffee first. He slid a paper cup toward me. Vanilla latte. I stared at it. How did you know? You ordered one after Professor Walsh's midterm last semester. That was 6 months ago. Ryan shrugged. I remember things. That tiny detail disrupted my entire plan. I took the cup, mostly because my hands needed something to do. Thank you. You are welcome. Now the letter. You really hate small talk. I am trying to prevent a diplomatic incident. Ryan laughed, and somehow we started talking about Professor Walsh instead. Then classes. Then movies. Then the terrible dining hall food. When Ryan mentioned pizza, I made the mistake of reminding him about our argument from the previous semester. Pineapple does not belong on pizza, he said. That is not an opinion. That is fear of innovation. It is fruit. Tomatoes are fruit. Do not bring science into this. I laughed so hard that the woman at the next table glanced over. Ryan looked pleased with himself. 5 minutes became 20. 20 became an hour. I learned that he collected old science fiction paperbacks because his grandfather had given him a box of them when he was 12. He learned that I secretly loved mystery novels with ridiculous endings. He admitted that he hated formal campus events. I admitted that I sometimes attended them only for free food. At one point, Ryan checked his phone and blinked. We have been here almost 3 hours. I looked toward the window. The sky outside had gone completely dark. That seems mathematically impossible. You were supposed to explain something. The guilt returned instantly. Right. We left the cafe and started walking toward campus. The cool evening air should have cleared my head. It did not. Ryan walked beside me with his hands in his sweatshirt pockets, close enough that our shoulders nearly brushed whenever the sidewalk narrowed. Can I ask you something? He said. Your questions have caused enough problems already. Why did you never really talk to me before? We talked. About pineapple. A meaningful cultural exchange. Ryan smiled. I mean really talk. I looked ahead at Westbridge's clock tower glowing beyond the trees. The honest answer was that Ryan had always seemed like someone who belonged to a different version of college life, one where people knew exactly who they were. You always had people around you, I said. I figured you had enough attention. His expression became thoughtful. Maybe attention is not the same as being known. That sentence stayed between us. I stopped walking. Ryan, about the letter. He turned toward me. This was it. No interruptions. No Lara disappearing around corners. I had a really good time tonight, he said quietly. I should have answered with the truth. Instead, I looked at him and realized something far more dangerous than the original misunderstanding. So did I. By Tuesday morning, Ryan Mitchell had somehow become part of my routine without asking permission. I walked out of economics and found him leaning against the wall across from the classroom, holding 2 coffee cups. Please tell me one of those is not for me, I said. Why? Because remembering my order once was impressive. Twice is becoming suspicious. Ryan handed me the vanilla latte. Maybe I am building a reputation. You already have one. His smile changed slightly. That is what I am afraid of. Before I could ask what he meant, one of his teammates called to him from down the hallway. Ryan lifted a hand, then looked back at me. See you later? I should have used that moment to explain everything. Instead, I said, probably. Later became Wednesday lunch, when he saved me a seat in the student union. Then Thursday night, when he sent me a picture of a pineapple pizza from the dining hall with a message, I found evidence of criminal activity. By Friday, Lara had stopped pretending not to notice. You smile every time he texts you, she said while we studied in the library. I smile at many things. You just smiled at a picture of bad pizza. It was objectively funny. Lara lowered her voice. Ethan, you still need to tell him. I knew. That was the worst part. I knew every single time Ryan looked at me. That evening, after his swim practice, I found him sitting alone on the upper bleachers inside the aquatic center. The pool below reflected pale blue light across the empty room. His backpack and textbooks were beside him, but he was staring at his phone without really seeing it. You know most people leave when practice ends, I said. Ryan looked up. You came looking for me. That does weaken my argument. I sat beside him. For once, he did not immediately joke back. Everything okay? He turned his phone face down. My dad called. Bad conversation? Normal conversation. Somehow he made normal sound worse. Ryan told me his father had planned nearly every step after graduation. Business school, internships, the family company, even the city Ryan was expected to live in. He has a spreadsheet, Ryan said. Your future isn't a spreadsheet? Color-coded. That might be the most terrifying thing you have ever told me. Ryan laughed softly. Everyone thinks I have everything figured out. Sometimes I think I am just good at looking like I do. I looked at him differently then. The Ryan everyone knew moved through campus like he belonged everywhere. This Ryan sat alone after practice with tired eyes and a future somebody else had designed. You are allowed not to know what comes next, I said. Tell my father that. Give me his number. Ryan smiled. What would you say? Hello, Mr. Mitchell. Your son is 21, not a quarterly earnings report. His laugh echoed across the empty pool. Then he looked at me for a long moment. That is what I like about you. My heart stumbled. My disrespect for spreadsheets. You talk to me like I am just Ryan. Who else would you be? His expression softened. Golden boy. Captain Mitchell. The guy everybody expects to have an answer. He looked down at the water. Sometimes people like the version of me they already invented. I understood more than I wanted to admit. Ryan continued quietly. And what I told you about dating guys was true. I have thought about it before. I just never let myself explore it. He met my eyes. Whatever happens between us, I do not want you thinking you caused that. The letter flashed through my mind again. Ryan, there is something I need to tell you. Okay. This was finally the moment. Then he took a breath and asked, before you do, would you want to go on a real date with me tomorrow? I stared at him, knowing exactly what I should say. Instead, the truth that escaped first was the one I had been trying hardest to avoid. Yes. Saturday arrived with the kind of clear blue sky that made Westbridge look suspiciously perfect, and I spent most of the afternoon wondering how I had agreed to an actual date before correcting the misunderstanding that had started everything. Ryan met me outside the bookstore café on Maple Street at 6:30, wearing jeans and a dark blue sweater instead of anything connected to the swim team. You are early, I said. 2 minutes. Still early. You are 5 minutes early. That is different. I needed time to prepare emotionally. For coffee. For your opinions about pizza. Ryan laughed and opened the door for me. We were supposed to get drinks, but somehow we spent nearly an hour wandering through the bookstore first. I discovered Ryan owned a collection of old science fiction novels inherited from his grandfather. He discovered I had an embarrassing weakness for mystery books with impossible twists. Nobody knows about the science fiction thing, he said, holding an old paperback. Your golden boy reputation is safe with me. Ryan groaned. Please never call me that. Interesting. I finally found your weakness. I trusted you, Parker. That was reckless. By the time we finally ordered coffee, being with him felt dangerously easy. That was the problem. Every laugh made the truth harder to introduce without destroying the moment. When we eventually stepped outside, rain had started falling across Maple Street, even though the afternoon had been perfectly clear. Of course, I said. What? Ryan asked. The universe has decided subtlety is no longer necessary. We shared his umbrella for about half a block before the wind made it almost useless. Laughing, we hurried beneath the covered entrance of an old campus theater. Rain tapped steadily against the metal awning while traffic lights reflected red and gold across the wet street. Ryan leaned against the brick wall beside me. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then he looked at me. Can I ask you something? That sentence has historically caused problems. He smiled, but his expression quickly became serious. Do you regret giving me that letter? My stomach tightened. The answer was complicated enough to fill a book. More than you know. Ryan looked down. Oh, I immediately realized what he had heard. No, that is not what I mean. Then what do you mean? There it was. The opening I had avoided all week. Lara wrote it. I was only delivering it. I should have told you immediately. I took a breath. Ryan, the truth is, I do not regret anything that happened after, he said quietly. I stopped. He stepped a little closer, leaving me plenty of room to move away. I know this started strangely, but the coffee, the conversations, tonight, those were real to me. My heartbeat suddenly seemed louder than the rain. Ryan searched my face. Ethan, would it be okay if I kissed you? No assumption. No pressure. Just a question. I knew what I should do first. I knew exactly which truth I owed him. But I also knew my answer. Yes. Ryan leaned closer and kissed me gently. It lasted only a moment, careful and warm, and when he moved back, he looked almost as nervous as I felt. I smiled before I could stop myself. Well, that was inconvenient. Ryan laughed. Inconvenient. Extremely. Should I apologize? Absolutely not. His smile widened, and happiness collided with guilt so sharply that I finally understood the line I had crossed. The original misunderstanding had been an accident. The coffee had been confusion. But this was different. I had kissed Ryan knowing the truth. As we stood beneath the awning listening to the rain, I made myself a promise. Before there could be another date, another almost confession, or another moment like this, Ryan would hear everything from me. By Sunday morning, I had rehearsed the truth so many times that the words had started to sound meaningless. Lara wrote the letter. I was only delivering it. I should have told you immediately. 14 words, depending on how nervous I became, and somehow they felt harder than anything I had ever said. I texted Ryan before lunch. Can we talk after practice today? He answered less than a minute later. Absolutely. I actually need to tell you something too. That did nothing to calm me. At 3:30, I crossed the quad toward the aquatic center, determined that this time there would be no excuses, no convenient interruptions, and definitely no kissing before explanations. Halfway there, I saw Lara near the student union fountain. She looked nervous. Why do you look guilty? I asked. I fixed something. I stopped walking. Lara, what did you fix? The letter situation. My stomach dropped. What did you do? I told Ryan I needed to talk to him. When? Lara glanced toward the aquatic center. He is probably still there. I stared at her. You told him? Ethan, I started this mess. You have been trying to confess the truth for almost a week. I was going to do it today. I know, but I thought maybe it was time I took responsibility too. She was right, which did not stop panic from taking over. I hurried across campus and entered the aquatic center. Recognized it later. I leaned against the wall, trying to understand. Ryan had known after our first coffee. He had known when he brought me vanilla lattes. He had known on the bleachers. He had known at the bookstore. He had known beneath the awning when he asked permission to kiss me. Lara asked the question that suddenly terrified me. Then why did you keep seeing Ethan? I held my breath. At that exact moment, several students came through the nearby doors, talking loudly as they crossed the lobby. Ryan answered, but their voices covered his words. I could have waited. I could have walked around the corner and asked him directly. Instead, every insecurity I had carefully hidden rushed forward with its own explanation. Maybe Ryan had felt sorry for me. Maybe he had been curious. Maybe dating me had become an experiment he did not know how to end politely. My phone buzzed. Ryan. Practice ended early. Are you here yet? I stared at the message and stepped backward. Another message appeared. I can meet you whenever you get here. Behind the corner, Lara spoke again. So this has nothing to do with my letter anymore? I froze. Ryan began answering, but fear had already made the decision for me. I walked toward the exit. Outside, the afternoon air felt colder than it should have. Ryan called once. I let it ring. Heard him behind me. Ethan. I kept walking. Ethan, please. That stopped me. I turned and found Ryan standing about 10 feet away in his Navy team jacket, looking more exhausted than angry. He did not come closer. Did I do something wrong? He asked. You knew? His expression changed immediately. About Lara's letter? You knew she wrote it? Yes. Since our first coffee? Yes. I gave a short, humorless laugh. That seems like information you might have mentioned. I was going to. When? Before another coffee? Another date? Another kiss? Ryan stared at me. You think those happened because of the letter? They started because of it. Started, Ethan. Past tense. Students crossed the quad around us, laughing and carrying backpacks, while I wished the ground could somehow become private property. I heard you talking to Lara yesterday. Ryan's eyes narrowed slightly. How much did you hear? Enough. Apparently not. He took a breath. I recognized Lara's handwriting after our first coffee. She gave me notes from Professor Walsh's class last semester. I remembered the way she wrote certain letters. So you knew, and you kept pretending. Pretending what? That this was real. Ryan went completely still. You think I was pretending? I do not know what else to think. You could guys like me. Ryan stared at me. Guys like me. You know what I mean. Everyone knows you. You have the scholarships, the swim team, the perfect reputation. People expect you to succeed at everything. I am just Ethan Parker. Ryan stepped closer, stopping several feet away. Do not do that. Do what? Turn yourself into less than you are because it makes this easier to explain. I swallowed. Ryan continued, his voice quiet. You decided before the letter that I would never notice you. Then you decided I only liked you because I thought you wrote it. Now you know I discovered the truth. So you have decided I must have stayed because I felt sorry for you. He shook his head. You keep deciding what I feel before you even let me say it. I looked at him. Then say it. Ryan held my gaze. I chose you. 2 words, no hesitation. My chest tightened. Then why did you not tell me you knew? Because I could see you trying to tell me yourself. At the cafe. On the bleachers. Saturday night. I thought you deserved the chance to say it when you were ready. Every failed confession suddenly looked different. Ryan exhaled. The letter got my attention, Ethan. You kept it. I wanted to believe him, which was exactly what frightened me. I need time. Hurt crossed his face, but he nodded. Okay. He walked past me, then stopped. One more thing. I gave Lara her letter back yesterday. I turned toward him.